first of all, I think what I'm going to do is let's start with DHT. And actually, let me bring up this next slide. If you look here, and I'm going to come back to the slide later too, because it has some other stuff on here that's important. But if you look, excuse me, testosterone will naturally, some of the testosterone should naturally convert into DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, which is a much more powerful form of testosterone. And it's absolutely essential for your sex drive, for your libido in particular. Erections too, but definitely your sex drive. And it gets a bad rap because it's tied to hair loss. Okay, so some guys will actually take DHT blockers in order to try and save their hair, all right, or regrow their hair. And DHT is a factor in hair loss. Yeah, it's so hard to find. You just Google this and you'll see what I mean. If you read all this stuff, you'll think it's just DHT. But if you dive much deeper into the research, you'll see there's a lot more to it than DHT. It's DHT in combination with a bunch of other stuff going on that shouldn't be going on. Once again, it's an ecosystem that's happening, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just the DHT. The other factors they found in that is DHT combined with high estrogen levels, okay? High nitric oxide levels, which is another reason why I tell guys not to take nitric oxide supplements all the time. Even though nitric oxide is important for erections, we'll talk about that in a second. You don't want to be taking it all the time because that seems to be part of the problem. It creates oxidative stress on your hair follicles. Okay, that's part of the reason red light therapy works for hair restoration. You know, you might have seen these red light caps that you can buy. Well, they've been scientifically shown to work. And part of the reason it activates the mitochondria much more so you can get the hair growth, but it also decreases that effect that nitric oxide is having on the hair follicles. It's not touching DHT, it's nitric oxide. That's one of the factors, right? You can overdo anything, including nitric oxide, and you get this oxidative stress, so the hair falls out. Okay. Also, high iron levels in your body. We have iron fortified foods that have been around forever. And it's looking, especially for males, overdoing iron. Looks like it could be a real issue, a health issue, including playing a role in hair loss. Okay. There's multiple things that are going on there for hair loss. In other words, DHT is just one factor. And the bad thing about this is that, you know, I get these guys who come to me, particularly with finasteride, taking finasteride. And if you haven't looked at this, I highly recommend you Google post-Finasteride syndrome, because I'm seeing more and more of these guys. And some of these guys have a real issue coming over this. It takes a while because they have artificially, you know, brought their DHT down and their sex drive just tanks, right? And it's very frustrating for them. And it can be a long process. Some guys get over it relatively quickly. Other guys I work with, it takes a while, right? Because they've been on the finasteride for a while. And also, some guys have no problem with the finasteride. So I don't, you know, I want you to think that just because you're taking it, you're necessarily going to have a problem. But there's definitely guys that have problems because I work with them. And one thing you want to look at if you are taking finasteride is you want to look at your sex drive. Is your sex drive going down? Because if it is, that's a pretty clear sign that there's an issue going on. So with that, I want to put this in perspective too. So DHT, yes, it is a factor combined with other things, right? But it's not the only factor by any means. We just talked about that. And also, it's not the only thing that turns hair loss around is blocking DHT. We just talked about red light therapy, okay, has been scientifically shown to improve hair growth. And it has nothing to do with the DHT blocking. There's also minoxidil, okay, not as powerful as finasteride, but also has a positive effect on hair loss. All right. And it is not a DHT blocker. So if DHT was the entire story, those other treatments wouldn't be working. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I just want to put that in perspective because it really, really gets a bad rap, especially I'd say over the last couple of years, DHT, and some guys are like obsessed with decreasing it. But look at other things that are going on that might be contributing to this and dive deeper into your research on DHT and hair loss. And you'll see what I mean. You got to go past the surface level stuff and go into the actual studies, okay, to see there's way more going on. DHT is just a little bit of it. And I bring this up because it's so important for your libido, and the hardness of your erections really helps with that. And I wanted to bring DHT up first because it plays into oxytocin. Oxytocin and DHT have a relationship, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But before I move on to that, I want to bring something up too, because you know, I work with a lot of guys that have prostate problems. Hey man, I hope you got a ton out of this segment of the EBAI Erection Biochemicals Alpha Inhibitor video series, where we are diving deep into overcoming this insidious alpha inhibitor that is blocking our birthright of having natural, long-lasting, stage 4, rock-hard erections. If you'd like to get free access to the entire EBAI Erection Biochemicals Alpha Inhibitor video series, make sure you click the link in the description of this video to register for free access to all of these life-changing videos in this series, along with some other surprise bonuses. Also, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications bell so you get all of the future value-packed videos just like this that I will be releasing for you to help you be the best version of yourself and have natural, stage 4, rock-solid performance. I will see you tomorrow in the next EBAI Erection Biochemicals Alpha Inhibitor video.